Welcome to the Gospel Road. We're going to look at Colossians 3. It says, "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, whom is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, covetousness, which is idolatry. On account of these, the wrath of God is coming. In these you too once walked, when you were living in them. But now you must put away all anger, malice, wrath, slander, and obscene talk with your mouth. Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator. Here there is not Greek and Jew, circumcised and uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free, but Christ is all and in all. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against the other, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, and singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives, and do not be harsh with them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. Bondservants, obey in everything those who are your earthly masters, not by way of eye service as people pleasers, but with the sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality. Colossians 3. That's what we looked at. That's what we're looking at today. And as I always say, be sure to go back and check it out and see how it helps you. But let's look at this one: bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against the other, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Yeah, do we do that? I mean, we see that every day as we're dealing with people, both neighbors and friends and even coworkers. In fact, I know many people, and there was a time that I probably still do, and can't even think of it right off the top of my head, where, you're holding that grudge because something was done against you. In fact, I know people that they hold grudges all the time and then get very judgmental and very opinionated about people, rather than trying to do their best to deal with them and work with them as they need to in on a daily basis or in a specific project. I mean, I know we can do our best to, try and stay away from those that are not kind of giving us what it is that we're able to do, because again, the whole oil and water, you're not getting along with someone very well, not as well as what you think you should be able to. But sometimes we can't get away from that, and we have to do what we can, as we hear a lot, being that bigger person, to deal with them on that daily basis, to deal with them through those projects and the things that we need to do. But it's not easy. Not easy at all. But at the same time, when you're thinking of, being kind and being humble and being meek and being patient, even that compassionate heart. Do we even feel that? I mean, what is it that you do that really shows that compassion every day? And with that, by doing these things, it would help you be that better person, that stronger person as you are dealing with life every day, dealing with people every day. And I know people are terrible. People are the hardest to deal with. It's funny because sometimes you just want to sit there and go, life would be great when people aren't involved because everybody has their opinion, everybody has their motive, everybody has, what it is that they feel is important to them, and not always willing to find the balance on how to work with one another to be the best, to do what it is that you can to support one another, because it really can be about them and about what they want and what they need, and they just don't look at anything else. And that's not the way we need to be doing this, because again, we are trying to do things together, especially when we are looking at businesses now, that we are in a team atmosphere. So we're doing this together. I just had a meeting with a gentleman this morning talking about his office. And of course, they had kind of like the open office plan, but it's turned into an issue with when it comes to calls, and maybe ends up too many conversations. So because of that, they're now maybe needing to go back to the office environment. So that's kind of what they're doing with a new build out. But again, we are doing this as a team. We're doing this as trying to figure out what it is that needs to be done. We're trying to do this to maybe come up with that best plan, that best answer. And we're not always going to do that on our own. We're not going to be the ones. I am not going to be the one that's going to do that. That's why you have that team. That's why you have those around you to bounce ideas off of, to bounce issues off of, to maybe try and figure out the best way, the best answer to get that done. But at the same time, if someone does something or says something that it just bothers you, you have to let it go. Because if you keep letting things get to you, keep letting things bother you, it's just going to just irritate you. And then every time you see that person, you're going to not like them. You're going to dislike them more and more and more. And then just looking at them is going to annoy you just because you see them. And that's not a way that you need to be living life, because it's not a healthy way to be living life. And that's what it is us trying to be the best we can and living the most healthy life we can, body, mind, and soul. What can we do? I mean, and as we get older, the body can be very annoying. I mean, I know I've been dealing with my hip, and man, I was even walking around as I was trying to get to the office today, and all of a sudden it's starting to lock up on me. I try to do something with the massage machine today. We'll see if it makes it better. Somebody gave me an idea. Speaking of, sharing ideas with people, and we'll see what happens. Right now, it's not liking me very much, but it happens all the time. And then sometimes we can get so busy that we're not getting the rest that we should. We're not, you know, getting the downtime that we need to do so we can actually recuperate and that we can really be restful and be ready for that next day. So, what are you doing to take care of yourself, to help you be the best that you can be, so that way you're able to really be there for those that are around you? Those are things that we got to think about. Those are important pieces to life every day as we are dealing with this. And yeah, it can be overwhelming. It can be something that really pushes you off because you don't have enough. You don't have the energy to constantly deal with it every day. But that's why it's so important that we have to take that time to relax, that time to recharge. And sometimes it's just that time away so your mind can just clear and not have to deal with that. You know, really taking those deep breaths, taking that walk. Like it's sometimes it's the same way, no different than when you're trying to be creative. And they're saying sometimes it's just walking into the other room to get a different perspective, going outside, going for just a walk, just whatever you need to do to get away and stop. Just take a break, because then it can rest your mind. By resting that mind, it then can help you as you're trying to take that next step. Someone is just driving you nuts. You just take that break to kind of reset yourself and calm yourself, and then again try and get back into things. Colossians 3, that is what we looked at today. So how can it help you be that better person, to do the best that you can every day as you are trying to be better for you and being better for those that are around you. Check it out, Colossians 3. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this, you can always share it with others. Be sure to share it on social media, where you can pretty much find me as well. Pretty much any of them. It's at My Buddy Jimmy or MyBuddyJimmy.com. Also, whatever platform you're listening, give a rating as well as to. Always appreciate that. And I know we're coming off of summer. We're getting into fall, and it does not seem to be calming down. There's still so many things going on. I know I have a full week myself of events that I've got to deal with, even rolling into the weekend. And I had a ton of them last week, and it can wear you out. So remember, especially now as we're getting towards the end of the year, getting into the holiday season, we have to remember to take the break. We have to remember to get that time away, to just shut down, to quit dealing with things that are constantly stimulating us, because we need that lack of stimulation for our minds to just reset, to just relax, and to continue to keep pushing forward. Colossians 3. Be sure to check that out. Thank you for listening to The Gospel Road. Have a great day. God bless.
Spinal adjustments provided by Dr. Chad Rolfson. The Spinal Tuning Chiropractic Center is a Des Moines area low flat fee per month unlimited chiropractic care practice. When life happens, just adjust. Schedule today at spinaltuning.com.
The Jimmy Olsen Radio Network.